What if the true reason you're not attracting the life you desire, whether it's love, peace, or success, isn't because you're doing something wrong, but because, deep down, you don't fully believe you deserve it?
Not completely. Not at your. This belief, often hidden beneath layers of effort and striving, quietly shapes everything. Here's a paradox that few truly grasp. The moment you stop chasing and begin to truly love yourself, not just in theory, but in practice, is the moment life starts to move toward you effortless. You don't need to earn your place in the universe, you already belong. As the Buddha taught, you deserve your own love and affection, just as much as anyone else in the whole universe. But many of us have been conditioned to look outward, to seek approval, validation, or even our very sense of worth from others. We measure our value by others' recognition. Buddhism gently encourages us to turn inward, revealing that the world around us always mirrors how we treat ourselves. So pause and honestly ask, what kind of energy are you truly calling in? Is it grounded in quiet self-respect, or is it tinged with hidden desperation? Are you radiating confidence, or quietly pleading to be noticed? In this video we will dive into powerful Buddhist teachings that show how genuine, grounded self-love can transform not only how you feel inside, but what unfolds around you. And at the end we will share a rare and deeply liberating insight, a truth that shifts everything the moment it clicks. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to Insightful Journey, where each video offers a pathway to calm, clarity, and profound Buddhist wisdom you won't find in the noise of modern life. Now, let's begin. Chasing is the shadow cast by self-doubt. Why does life seem to slip away the more desperately we chase love, success, or inner peace? Why does it feel as though things retreat the moment we pursue them? Buddhism offers a quiet but powerful insight. The one who chases the world forgets the stillness that moves it. When your inner world is restless, life cannot settle around you. The chase, no matter how urgent or noble, often stems not from confidence, but from lack. Not clarity, but fear. Imagine a bird resting in your open palm. If you suddenly grasp to catch it out of need, startled by your own desire to possess it, it will fly away. But if you remain calm, steady, and open, the bird may choose to. This is how all meaningful things respond. They are drawn not to frantic reaching, but to the gentle gravity of your presence. When you chase from a place of emptiness or need, that subtle energy is sensed, even when disguised as ambition or hard work. Fear carries a scent. It repels, not as punishment, but because life reflects the state of your soul. We've been taught that desire means pursuit. Run harder, work more, prove yourself, get there faster. But Buddhism reveals a different rhythm, one of conscious stillness, not passive waiting, but embodied presence. It's not about giving up your dreams, but releasing the desperate energy behind them. When you fully love yourself, the chase loses its power. You stop begging life to validate your worth. You already embody it. You become the proof you long to find. Close your eyes, breathe slowly. Picture your desires, not as distant mountains to climb, but as lotus petals drifting gently toward you on calm water. No splashing, no stirring needed. Stay rooted and grounded. Let the petals come to you, because when your mind's waters are still, even the moon's reflection appears clearly. Sometimes what we chase is not the goal itself, but the feeling we believe the goal will give us, worthiness, safety, or love. Maybe it's not the outcome that needs your attention, but the part of you that feels unworthy without it. Can you hold that part of yourself like a child and quietly say, "You're enough"? Even now, Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering doesn't arise from lacking, but from clinging, the false belief that we must earn what is already our birthright. When you begin to love yourself as you are, right now, not someday when your perfect peace begins to bloom. And peace is magnetic. It draws the right people, moments, and opportunities, not because you wrestled life into submission, but because you stopped resisting your own being. Here lies the great irony.
The moment you stop chasing, you start attracting. Why? Because the universe doesn't respond to the noise of your need. It responds to the quiet strength of your vibration. The vibration of self-love is undeniable. It doesn't demand, it allows, it doesn't grasp. It welcomes. The more you return to your center, your wholeness, the more the world shifts toward you. You are not an empty vessel, waiting to be filled. You are a sacred space that life longs to enter. When you honor yourself as whole, the world reflects that fullness back to you. We'd love to hear how this message speaks to you. And if you're uncertain where to start, simply write in the comments a declaration of your self-love to yourself. My self-worth attracts wholeness, draws in what's meant for me. Wounds repel. What if the world doesn't give you what you long for, but rather it reflects what you believe you deserve? Not as punishment, but as an honest mirror of your deepest conviction. This is one of the quiet truths Buddhism teaches us. We are not here to chase outcomes, but to understand their causes. And the most powerful cause behind everything you attract in life is the energy you carry within. There is an unseen law woven into the fabric of reality. Wholeness attracts, wounds repel. Not because wounds make you unworthy, but because unhealed energy distorts your field. When your inner world harbors the belief that you're not enough, the outer world echoes that belief back to you. It's not cruelty, it's a mirror. Imagine a delicate ceramic bowl, cracked in many places. You pour water into it again and again, but the bowl never stays full. The water slowly leaks through the fractures. Now picture your soul the same way. You may gather love, possessions, or praise from others, but if your self-belief is cracked and shadowed by doubt, joy cannot stay. It seeps through the gaps where your love for yourself is missing. You might wonder why you keep attracting the same kind of pain. Why does every new beginning feel like an old ending wearing a different mask? The answer does not lie in the world outside. It lives silently within, in the often overlooked echoes of your own heart. Until you begin to see yourself not as broken, but as deeply worthy, you will continue to call in people and experiences that confirm your inner doubts, not your outer wishes. Pause now. Take a slow, deep breath. Visualize your inner self as that cracked bowl, but now imagine golden light gently into each fracture. Not to erase the damage, but to honor and illuminate it. This is the spirit of kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold. The cracks are not hidden. They are celebrated. They become the most beautiful part of the whole. In the same way, your pain is not your failure. It is part of your sacred story. When you begin to love your cracks, they begin to glow. So ask yourself softly, are you trying to manifest from your pain or from your peace? The universe hears not your words, but the energy beneath them. If the quiet truth underneath all your striving says, I'm not enough, then life will continue to offer mirrors, whispering, yes, you're right. But if you start even gently, even uncertainly, to hold yourself as enough, your reality will begin to transform, not instantly, but gradually, like morning sunlight dissolving dense fog. The Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This is not just comforting sentiment, it is a spiritual strategy. Love becomes your strength, not because it forces others to change, but because it transforms what you allow, what you expect, and what you attract. When you love yourself, you stop inviting in what hurts you and begin to draw in what honors you. Let your energy whisper calm. Let your presence say, I no longer beg, I welcome. The world does not respond to longing, it responds to wholeness, and you don't have to wait for some future version of yourself to begin. You can begin right here, with the exact version of yourself that exists in this moment. You are not too broken to attract beauty into your life. You are already beautiful. You're simply waiting to recognize and trust this truth. The universe doesn't test your worth, it mirrors it. In that reflection, stillness becomes your magnetic power. Why does silence reveal more truth than volume ever can? Because in stillness, something ancient and profound awakens within you. Like a candle glowing in darkness, a quiet soul, naturally draws in warmth and clarity, not by striving to be noticed, but by radiating genuine light from within. This is your path, and you are already walking it. In Buddhism, this presence isn't called passivity, it's called alignment, a sacred inner harmony that arises not from complacency, but from releasing your grip. It is not about caring less, but about holding on less tightly. When you are no longer frantic to be seen or desperate to be chosen, your energy shifts. It becomes pure, steady, magnetic. In that purity, life begins to pay attention, not because you're louder or you've finally proven yourself, but because you've returned to the calm, quiet center of your being. It's the place where your truth no longer needs to We live in a world addicted to noise, where the loudest voices seem to dominate, where the boldest gestures win applause. But beneath that surface, life responds not to volume but to vibration, to the quiet, steady frequency of clarity. Stillness isn't laziness or giving up, it is inner order and alignment. When your mind is no longer racing, your heart is no longer grasping, and your energy is no longer pushing, you naturally fall in step with the true rhythm of existence. In that perfect alignment, you don't chase, you attract. Close your eyes. Inhale, exhale. Feel your breath move through you, like ripples flowing across a tranquil lake. In this moment, there is nothing to fix, nothing to prove, just the gift of being. In that being, a profound power rises. It's grounded, radiant, and quiet. It doesn't shout to be heard or beg to be noticed. It simply exists, and by its existence, it is felt. Many ask, why do I feel invisible even when I try so hard? Often the answer isn't in what you're doing, but in why you feel the need to do it. Where in your life are you being loud because you're afraid of being overlooked? That noise, whether it's overachievement, striving, or emotional urgency, is often a mask for a deeper ache, the wound of unworthiness. But what would shift if you trusted your presence more than your performance? Imagine a flower blooming quietly in sunlight. The bees discover it anyway. Imagine a mountain standing for centuries. The clouds naturally pass around it. This is the nature of stillness, not the absence of strength, but its highest expression. When you are truly still, your energy speaks for itself, and in that pure resonance, the right people find you, the right opportunities arrive. Life begins to lean in, because stillness signals deep self-trust. You don't need to shout to be heard, nor beg to be loved. You need only to return to that calm within you, the calm that remembers its worth. That inner stillness becomes your most authentic signal, your true magnetism. The moment you release the frantic urge to perform, you become luminous in a way that performance alone can never match. Stillness doesn't render you invisible. It renders you undeniable. When you love yourself enough to dwell in stillness, the world cannot help but notice your presence. This is where detachment emerges, not as indifference, but as a deep spiritual the kind of faith that quietly asks, can you desire deeply and still be at peace even without the object of your desire? True detachment, as the Buddhist teachings reveal, is never the rejection of longing or dreams. Reverence for the natural flow of life is at the heart of true peace. It is the quiet understanding that what is meant for you arrives not by force, but by alignment. So often we clutch our desires, our relationships, our plans, our timelines, convinced that tighter control will guarantee their safety. Yet the more tightly we hold, the more life resists, not because the dream itself is wrong, but because fear has taken the place of trust. Where fear goes, peace withdraws. Close your eyes now. Picture your deepest wish, a dream, a hope, a relationship, as a butterfly softly resting in your open palm. Notice the urge to close your fingers, to grasp it so it won't escape. Then simply breathe. Keep your hand open. Let it rest as long as it chooses. And if it flies away, allow it to go, not from indifference, but from deep trust. Trust that what is meant for you cannot be lost. Not by time, not by people, not even by distance. Detachment then is the highest form of faith. It softly whispers, I have planted the seed, I won't dig it up each day to check its growth. Detachment is wisdom, the knowing of when to act and when to surrender. Not as weakness, but as profound respect for life's own timing. Ask yourself, gently, what are you holding so tightly that it cannot breathe? Maybe it's a person, a future you've written in your mind, or the image of who you think you must become. Can you ease your grip? Can you loosen your expectations? Release the outcome. Love without clinging. Strive without suffering. The Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. It isn't the letting go those hurts, it's the resistance to letting go. Yet when you begin to soften, even a little, something shifts. Peace enters, energy clears. Life begins to move, not against you but through you. This is the soul's aligned path, the quiet power of stillness, the sacred art of returning to wholeness. Letting go is not about stopping caring. It is caring so deeply and truly that you offer things the freedom to grow on their own. Your trust finally outgrows your fear. Your heart opens, calm and confident, rather than clinging from need. It's here that the universe responds, not to the intensity of your grasping, but to the grace of your surrender. You are allowed to want beautiful things. You are allowed to wish, to dream, to hope for more. But love yourself enough not to make your happiness depend on those things. Let your joy rise from deep presence, not from the weight of possessions or the outcome of plans. Choose a joy that stands unshaken by loss or gain, because it is rooted in being, not in having. This alone is the secret to becoming unshakable. When desire is calm, when your spirit is free from bondage to results, peace finds its way in. You become open to all that life brings, no longer ruled by its shifting tides. You can want without desperation, hope without heartache. Let go not from a lack of caring, but from abundance of trust. What is meant for you will never need to be forced, begged for, or chased. Love yourself enough to let go the need for control. Then life unfolds in ways you never imagined, not limited by your plans, but expanded by trust and grace. When you surrender control, you give the universe space to breathe new possibilities into your story, beyond your wildest vision. We would truly love to hear how these words resonate with you. If you're unsure what to say, simply type, "My self-worth attracts me." Now let's soften together even further. Let's talk about healing. What if healing isn't about fixing yourself, but about finally holding your pain without judgment? What if peace is not something found in perfection, but in giving yourself permission to be exactly as you are, even when you are hurting? In a world obsessed with constant self-improvement, Buddhism whispers a gentler truth. You don't need to be perfect to be at peace. You only need to stop abandoning yourself every time you feel pain. Peace is not the absence of suffering, it's the presence of love. Even in our pain, love doesn't begin when the hurt ends. It begins when you stop treating your wounds like enemies. So often we scramble to silence our chaos, to hide it, to fix it. But what if your deepest pain isn't asking for a solution at all? What if all it needs is your compassion, a little space to be seen, to be held in the warmth of your awareness? When you start meeting your flaws with kindness instead of shame, everything changes. You soften. You become a safe place for yourself. That safety radiates out. It becomes a quiet, steady light. The world responds not because you've become perfect, but because you've become whole. Place your hand gently over your heart. Feel its warmth. Take a deep breath. Say to yourself, even this deserves my love. Even the regret, even the fear, even the broken parts I wish I could erase. All of it belongs, all held within the gentle, unwavering embrace of your own presence. This isn't weakness, it is spiritual strength. Self-compassion isn't passive, it is an act of power, a quiet and radical kindness in the face of the inner harshness we so often carry. So many of us have a war within, a voice that criticizes, shames, and belittles. We wonder why peace feels so far away, while offering little of the love we so freely share with others. The Buddha taught, hatred does not cease by hatred but by love alone. That includes the hatred we sometimes turn inward on ourselves. So ask yourself gently, where do you still bully your inner child? Is it the voice that whispers, "You're never enough"? Is it the part that punishes you for not being healed already? Ask, what would shift if I offered this pain understanding instead of rejection? Could I listen to my sadness rather than silence it? Could I let my mistakes rest rather than make them my identity? Healing begins the moment you stop fighting yourself. Peace arises the moment you realize, even this deserves your love. Healing starts quietly, not with force or urgency, but with a gentle shift. A shift from trying to fix what hurts to simply holding it. From punishing yourself for not being better to finally listening to what your pain wants to say. It is there, in that sacred pause of compassion, that true transformation begins. When you start to treat yourself with the tenderness you give to others, something powerful happens. Your energy softens, your vibration rises, and life, sensing this shift, begins to respond. Not because your outer world changes first, but because you do. Healing doesn't require flawlessness. It asks only for wholeness. And wholeness doesn't mean every piece is perfect. It means that no piece is left behind. Nothing is abandoned, nothing exiled. When you love yourself enough to sit beside your chaos, not to judge it, not to silence it, but simply to be with it, clarity begins to emerge. Like the first light of dawn dissolving heavy fog, understanding rises slowly and softly, then completely. You begin to see your pain was never evidence of failure, but a doorway into deeper love. Let this truth settle within. You are not too much, you are not too late, and you are never broken beyond repair. You are a soul who has been waiting, not for someone else, but at last, for your own embrace. When that quiet moment arrives, when you choose to love even your messiness, your ache, your imperfect wholeness, the world itself starts to change. The universe doesn't simply answer your wishes, it mirrors your innermost dialogue, reflecting the way you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. With gentler self-talk, your path softens. When your self-love grows, the love you receive deepens. Everything outside of you starts with what you offer within. Let healing be gentle. Let it begin with love. Let it begin with you. What if every relationship in your life is merely a mirror showing you how you talk to yourself in private moments? In Buddhist understanding, the whole world is shaped by the mind. Your outer life is molded by your inner dialogue, not always instantly, but always unfailingly. We don't see others exactly as they are. We see them as we are. Notice what you tolerate inside, you begin to tolerate outside too. Speak to yourself harshly, and you start to accept that harshness from others. Neglect your own emotional needs, and your relationships echo that neglect right back. This is never about blame, only about becoming aware. When you truly, quietly love yourself, you set a new energetic standard for your life. Your self-respect becomes the foundation, and the universe builds on it. Imagine yourself beside a still lake, peer into it, and see not just your image, but your inner voice. What do you tell yourself in those silent moments? Are you your greatest encourager, or do you undermine your own spirit before anyone else can? Ask yourself, how am I speaking to myself when no one is listening? The universe always listens. Here is a gentle but profound truth. Self-love sets the minimum for how others treat you. As you respect your own boundaries, others do too. When you talk kindly to yourself, your world begins to echo that kindness. And if it doesn't, if someone keeps offering less than what you now give yourself, you'll learn to gently walk away, not out of anger, but from alignment. So consider, are you teaching the world to see your worth or overlook it? Each time you dismiss your needs or silence your truth, you signal, this is all I'll accept, but you deserve the kind of care you wish to extend to others, and it must begin with you. Another question, if someone treated you the way you treat yourself, would you let that question resonate? If it brings discomfort, that marks your starting point, a chance for a new relationship with your own heart. You don't attract what you want, but what you believe you're worthy of. So speak to yourself kindly. Act as if you're worthy, because you. When this becomes your inner narrative, your life gradually rearranges around it, not with instant perfection, but with real transformation. When you love yourself enough to shift your inner voice, the universe responds, and kindness comes back to you. Remember, peace is the most powerful frequency. Why do those who are truly at peace draw what they need, without chasing, without noise? In Buddhism, it's understood that still water reflects the stars, not by effort, but by being calm enough to receive. Peace is not a luxury, it's a potent frequency, signaling to life itself, I am ready, not because I control, but because I trust. Inner peace creates spaciousness, and in that space, what you truly desire can arrive, not hurried, not forced, but welcomed in. Peace is the gate through which all blessings flow. You do not have to chase them, you simply align yourself for their arrival. Take a breath, picture yourself sitting in a quiet forest. There in that hush, let your heart begin to receive all that is waiting to arrive. The air is still, the wind soft. There's no striving, no need to prove yourself. You simply exist, allowing whatever arises in this gentle quiet, an idea, a memory, or a quiet knowing that you are already enough. In this awareness, something shifts. You become magnetic, not to everything, but to what truly belongs to you. Yet so many of us avoid this peace, not because we don't yearn for it, but because within stillness, too much is revealed. We use noise as a shield, filling our lives with distractions, urgency, and chaos, not always to accomplish more, but sometimes just to avoid meeting our own quiet. Are you filling your life with noise to escape your own stillness? Stillness reflects everything, and sometimes what meets us in that reflection is uncomfortable, but only by seeing can we begin to soften. The most peaceful people are not untouched by pain, they are simply no longer ruled by it. Their strength flows from within, from having sat in silence with their fears and made peace with them. That presence, that calm, draws others, draws opportunity, draws abundance, not because it demands, but because it exists without resistance. So ask yourself, what might shift in your life if you stopped demanding and started allowing? What if instead of pushing, you became spacious? What if instead of hustling, you simply rested in trust? Peace is not the absence of energy or effort, it's the absence of struggle. It's choosing to let life come to you as you remain deeply rooted in yourself. You never need to exhaust yourself to prove your worthiness. You do not need to force what is destined for you. Love yourself enough to create peace within, and the world will begin to reflect it outwardly. When your frequency is calm, your life begins to harmonize, not immediately, but inevitably. Remember, the still soul draws what seeks the light. In calm, you become radiant. In peace, you become powerful. Neediness is the enemy of receiving. Could your hunger for love, for validation, for achievement, be the very thing blocking their arrival? Buddhism teaches us that clinging drives away what we try to hold. Not because desire itself is wrong, but because desperation distorts our energy. We repel what we seek, not with our hands, but with our fear, our self-abandonment, our belief that we are incomplete without it. The moment you believe you need something to be whole, you've forgotten your full. And that forgetting creates a wall. No matter how loudly you beg, the universe hears the energy of lack more than your words. Neediness is not the same as longing. Longing can be patient and open. Neediness is sharp. It says, without this I am not enough, and becomes a barrier instead of a bridge. Close your eyes, imagine a thick rope you've been gripping tightly, perhaps a person, a goal, or a self-image. Your hands ache from holding on. Your heart is tired. Now let the rope drop, not in defeat, but in trust. Feel the relief. Feel the space open inside your chest. This is surrender, not giving up, but allowing life to breathe through you. We often mistake need for love, but genuine love does not beg or grip. It invites and welcomes, but never clings. Ask yourself, Where in my life does need wear the mask of desire? Is it in my search for validation, my fear of being alone, my tendency to mold myself for approval? Ask deeper, can I trust that what is meant for me will never require me to beg or to shrink myself to receive it? When you start believing you are already whole, your energy changes. You stop searching and start radiating, and life responds to that radiance. Self-love dissolves need. It tells you, even if nothing comes, I am enough. And from that space, that sufficiency, everything begins to flow, not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped clinging. You made space. You aligned. Need is heavy. Clinging repels, but presence is light. It attracts. When you remember your own completeness, your desires stop screaming and become gentle whispers. And gentle whispers, those are what the universe hears most clearly. So take a breath, loosen your grip, trust your wholeness, let go of the rope, and let your life flow. When you love yourself enough to stop begging, you finally begin to receive, in that quiet, dignified energy, all that you once chased starts finding its way to you, not as a test, but as a reflection. Become what you wish to receive. Ask yourself gently, are you seeking something you have yet to give yourself? This is the quiet question that changes everything. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, the outer world is never truly separate. It simply mirrors our innermost truth. We attract not what we wish for, but what we are. So if you want to change what comes to you, start by changing what flows from you. If you desire loyalty, ask, am I loyal to my needs, to my boundaries, to my truth? If you crave peace, ask, do I feed my mind peace, or let it feast on anxiety and comparison? If you long for abundance, ask, do I speak of lack? Do I live in the fear of not enough? So often we call for light, while clinging to shadows. We pray for love, yet abandon ourselves in quiet moments. Imagine meeting your future self, not as someone distant, but as the version of you who already lives in peace, love, and joy. Picture them, breathe with them, notice what they think, what they choose, how they feel. Each moment you resist that possibility, you are not far from it. It is already within you, waiting for you to rise and meet it. You say you want clarity, but fill your world with noise. You say you want to be seen but hide behind masks. You desire deep love, but speak harshness to your own heart. In which ways are you betraying what you claim to want? Sit gently with these truths, not to judge, but to awake. Because to receive something new you must become something new, not a different person but more honest, more open, more truly aligned with your desire. Who do you need to become to receive what you're calling in? Not someday but now, through small, daily acts of self-honor. Remember, the universe listens more to your frequency than your words, and frequency is shaped by being, not wish. When your being aligns with your vision, life begins to reflect it, slow at first, then all at once. It is not magic, it is natural. What you radiate, you attract. What you embody, you invite. So love yourself enough to become the love you seek. Be the peace you desire. Speak the truth you long to hear. When you live the energy you seek, there is no more chasing. What you welcome comes, not pulled by need, but drawn by recognition. You are not far from the life you desire. You are one decision away from being the self that welcomes. We'd love to hear your reflection. If you feel unsure, simply type, "My self-worth attracts more." Let the old you fall away to become free. What past identities must you release for the new to come alive? In Buddhist contemplation, we are reminded to be reborn, again and again. The old self must return to stillness, not destroyed or denied, but laid gently to rest, like a fallen leaf that once held sunlight. Its season honored, then it drifts. The self who was hurt, overlooked, who survived by shrinking or pleasing, has done its job. Now let it rest. Beneath those ashes, a deeper self is waiting, not born from fear, but from truth. But to meet that self, you must be willing to die, not physically, but in identity, the one who always apologized, the one who felt unworthy, the one who chased love to feel seen. These are not your essence. They are who you learn to be in a world that forgot your light. Close your eyes and imagine shedding an old skin. Feel it slip away, not with resistance, but with grace. Picture yourself stepping with bare feet into a new morning. Light kisses your face. The air is gentle. There is no urgency, only a calm remembering. You were never the pain, the label, the story. You are what remains when the story ends. So ask yourself with tenderness, what stories about yourself are you still gripping? Are you still defining yourself by who left, by what you failed, by how long healing has taken? Those stories may have shaped you, but you are permitted to outgrow them. The past is not a prison unless you carry the key. Ask finally, who are you without the pain? Not empty but vast, not incomplete but in the unfolding. This is where your power returns, not by clinging to the old, but by meeting who you are becoming. You do not need to abandon your past, only to stop living through it. In Buddhism, death is never an ending. It is always a transformation. Transformation is not an end. It is a return, a sacred cycle of renewal. This letting go, this inner death of false identities, is among the most holy journeys. For as you release what was never truly yours, the need to fight for love, the urge to prove your worth, you begin to live from your deepest essence. No longer driven by fear, no longer trapped by patterns, you allow the old to rest and the true to rise. You are not here merely to survive your past, you are here to embody your freedom. When you love yourself enough to let go of what you're not, you become a vessel for what you've always been, whole, unshakable, free. True power does not shout or seek applause. It manifests as quiet confidence, like the bamboo, flexible and unshaken, its strength shown not in loudness, but in calm, steady presence. In a world obsessed with noise, silent self-love becomes beautifully radical. There is no need to announce your value when you are rooted in it, nor to chase love when you embody it. This frequency of quiet confidence is found in those who have truly returned to themselves. It is the presence of someone who has nothing to prove and everything to offer. Presence itself speaks louder than any words. So often we spend our lives performing our worth, convincing others to see what we struggle to see in ourselves. But when you love yourself deeply, the performance falls away. You become the silence that effortlessly commands a room, not through ego but through deep-rooted essence. Imagine yourself as a tall, vibrant tree. The wind may bend you, but your roots keep you strong. Inner strength is not rigidity, it is dignity, a grounded assurance that radiates without resistance. Ask yourself, where in your life are you still performing at work, in relationships, on social media? What would unfold if you simply allowed yourself to be enough, right now, in this breath, without the armor of performance? Could you let your energy speak before your words? Could you trust that your presence impacts more than what you say? People may forget your words, but they will forever remember how they felt around you. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, the strongest are often the quietest, not from lack, but from deep completeness. Where ego once screamed, self-respect now gently whispered. Where control once reigned, compassion now dwells. Their silence becomes their sanctuary. Breathe into your stillness, stand in your quiet confidence. Allow the world to sense your worth, without the need for explanation. Remember, the deepest rivers move in silence, yet carry the greatest power. When you stop proving, you start attracting. Your energy becomes irresistible, your presence undeniable. Bonus lesson: love yourself as the universe does. What if right now you are already cherished by existence, not for your achievements, healing, or perfection, but simply for being? Buddhist wisdom teaches that beneath every illusion and wound, there exists a pure essence, Buddha nature, untouched by fear or shame. It cannot be earned, it can only be remembered. You are not broken, you are become. Much of life is spent striving for worth, chasing success, validation, and perfection, in hopes that one day you might finally deserve peace. But what if there is nothing to fix? What if healing isn't about bettering yourself, but but about softening into the truth already within. Even amidst your darkest moments, your true nature stays untouched, like the sun behind clouds, hidden, but ever present. When you love yourself from this place, life is no longer a puzzle to solve, but a dance to join. Belonging is not something you must earn. It is your natural state. So close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the universe bowing to you, not because you are flawless, but because you are whole. The stars never demand that you prove your light. The trees do not question your worth. Nature honors you simply for existing. Can you offer yourself this same reverence? Ask yourself, gently, without judgment, if you are willing to honor your own being, as life already does. In this a new peace is found, a peace that comes from being, not performing, from presence, not pattern, from loving, not striving. Can you offer yourself the reverence you long for from others, the respect you wish the world would show you? Can you give it, first and foremost, to your own heart? Try meeting your own gaze in the mirror, and seeing not only your perceived flaws, but the resilient light you've carried all this way. What if you stopped waiting for permission to love who you already are, and then went even deeper? Consider, what if you truly believed nothing was missing in you? How would you move through your days? How would you talk to yourself? How would you show up to your own life? Not from a sense of lack, but from a quiet, unwavering fullness. When you love yourself as the universe loves you, you cease chasing things that only echo your emptiness. Instead, you begin attracting experiences that recognize your innate wholeness. You no longer need to be fixed, rescued, or improved. You begin to simply exist, as radiant, as present, as enough. This love transforms you, not through force, but by remembering who you really are. Love yourself enough to bow to your own soul. Love yourself enough to stop apologizing for simply being. Because when you align with your true nature, the universe does not resist you. It greets you, reflects you, moves with you. And suddenly, everything you thought you had to earn begins to arrive, not as a reward, but as recognition. Chasing is the shadow of self-doubt. Every time you chase, be it love, success, or validation, you unknowingly tell life that you feel unworthy. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, stillness attracts more than striving. When you let go of chasing, you make room for life to come to you naturally and effortlessly. Wholeness attracts. Wounds repel. Unhealed emotional wounds quietly shape your pattern. Until you tend to them with compassion, they repeat. True self-love is not about fixing brokenness, but about refusing to abandon yourself. What you genuinely believe you deserve sets the boundary for what you allow into your life. Stillness creates magnetic power. In a world hooked on motion, rooted presence is true power. Stillness is clarity, not passivity. When your energy is calm, focused, and aligned, the universe responds to your vibration, not the volume of your striving. Detachment is the highest faith. Desire is simply human, but needing something to be whole breeds suffering. Detachment isn't giving up. It's trusting. Detachment is releasing control while remaining open. What is truly meant for you cannot be forced. It flows in, stays, and fits. Self-compassion transforms chaos into clarity. Healing never begins with correcting yourself, but through acceptance and gentleness. When you treat your pain with kindness rather than criticism, clarity will start to emerge. Real self-love is honest and courageous, not self-indulgent. The universe mirrors your inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself becomes the way the world speaks back to you. Your self-talk sends out your energetic signal. When your internal voice is gentle and loving, the world mirrors that same grace. Peace is the most powerful frequency. Peace isn't withdrawal, it's radiant strength. When you stop rushing, proving, and resisting, your presence exudes a magnetism that draws in what chaos always chases. The invitation is simple but transformative. Treat yourself with the reverence you have always desired. Align with your wholeness. Allow gentleness, clarity, stillness, and peace to become your new foundation. Everything you've been waiting for is already seated inside you, waiting to blossom the moment you recognize your own worth. Neediness is the enemy of receiving. When you believe you need something to feel whole, you inadvertently push it further away. The act of receiving only begins when you remember your innate completeness. Desperation shuts doors, inner wholeness gently opens them. Become within yourself what you desire to receive. Your energy must already hold the resonance of what you hope to attract. If you long for love, become its embodiment. If you seek abundance, live with gratitude and generosity now. Life gives to you what you are, not only what you wish for. Let the old self die for true freedom to emerge. Real transformation is born of release, not clinging, but surrender. The version of you that learned to survive may not be the one destined to thrive. Freedom arrives not through accumulating, but through shedding, letting go of old stories, outdated identities, and lingering pain. True power is found in quiet confidence. Authentic strength doesn't shout. It lives silently, grounded in deep self-awareness. When you know your worth, you stop performing it for others. You simply embody it. Love yourself as the universe loves you. You are already enough, even in your moments of imperfection and growth. Self-love is never something to chase or earn. It is something to remember. The universe sees you as sacred, whole. When you begin to see yourself the same way, not just admiring your bright side, but also honoring those parts you once hid or judged, everything starts to change. You stop chasing after love, recognition, or peace, because you realize you have become the very source of them. The world is no longer a place to endlessly prove yourself. It becomes a mirror, quietly reflecting your own inner sanctuary. This is not selfishness, but sacred self-remembrance, a spiritual return to your true nature, untouched by fear, free of the past, and independent on others for your worth. From this clarity, you attract without effort, not by force, but by silent resonance. As the Buddha taught, when the mind is pure, joy follows like a shadow that never leaves. If these words brought you calm or stirred something within, share them with someone who might need this reminder. Comment below, what does self-love mean to you? Subscribe to Insightful Journey for more peace, clarity, and Buddhist wisdom for healing and transformation. Most importantly, ask yourself, what is one way I can show myself unconditional love today?